Hey all, Mike here with Cinesamples, and this is the CineBrass Sonore walkthrough video. So this is a library containing 4 trumpets and 4 French horns recorded at the MGM scoring stage, where we record all of our Cinesample Cinesymphony libraries. And this brass library, it's actually it's 4 trumpets that were recorded in place, and you can see here you have control and separation over trumpet 1, which can be soloed, and then you have trumpets 2, 3, and 4. And so I thought we'll just jump right in, and I'll show you trumpet 1, which actually is an E-flat trumpet. For me, I like that the legato is, I can play fast passages and also play legato and lyrical passages. There's also control. I can control the amount of vibrato, which we've never really had that ability. There's one trumpet in CineBrass Core that allows a little bit of that, but this is a... It's a beautiful tone, and just recorded in that room, it's just great. Oops. Now, the way I have things set up, it's doing a layering. It's layering a staccato sample on top of the legato. So when I play hard, you get a little bit of that hard attack. That's because I have this, I don't want to go too into detail here, but we have this latching. If you look down here, this green, that determines the type of layer that you have on top of your legato. So if I have the C playing, or, holding down, those are the sort of short staccatos. And those are like, sforzando. And those are kind of like sort of crescendo attacks. It's kind of like an overly expressive and improperly way of playing the trumpet, I was told. But there's a passage actually in one of our favorite soundtracks from E.T. where the trumpet is actually playing that kind of style. And so that's why we chose to do that. So basically, what we've done here, it's trumpets and French horns. If you already own this discontinued 90s retro trumpets, we're going to hook you up here with CineBrass Sonore and make sure that you're taken care of, because we wanted to make sure that we combine these two libraries into this new package, because we tried out the French horns and they fit so well with the trumpets that we just felt that it had to be in one library. So I'll get to that in a sec. So yeah, we have control over the trumpet 1, and then trumpets 2, 3, and 4 are separated as well. Now, here's an interesting tidbit, if you will, about orchestration. When you have 4 trumpets playing, and in a full symphonic setting, and you ask the trumpets to play a little bit of a little bit of vibrato, that usually means that just the first trumpet player is going to add a little bit, and that's what we did here. So when you hear a little bit of that wobble, that's just coming from one player. Because if you had all 4 going, I learned that it can kind of sound like a mariachi kind of style. which for this is not what we want. We're going for just classic sort of cinematic sound. Yeah, and don't write up there. That's not fair to our friends. Okay, so that's the what we call the articulations patch, and there are key switches that you can use to kind of go through them all. That's the legato. This is a sustain. So you can play more polyphonic writing. That's a secco staccato. And we have this just a forte piano, which are good for layering on top of the sustains. We have sforzando. These are sustains with a slight tongue accent. And then we have, these are just half notes with a with a really strong release, actually. And then we have this the swells. So that's all the articulations in that one patch, as we usually do. And of course, we have all the microphone positions, close, room, surround, and then a variety of different premixes. We've got Tim's mix, dry and close on all of this stuff. If you've seen my other walkthrough videos, I've gone through all of this in detail. Then we go to the settings. You have control over the speed of the legato, which you can assign to a controller, a fader, if you want to. But it's sorry, it's pretty well tuned to most things. You can control then you can go into controlling the legato volume and the amount of verb that we add to kind of assist with that. There's all sorts of magic going on behind the scenes to make this stuff work. But we give you a little bit of control there. And then there's this little tape emulator, which we stole from the 90s retro trumpets. You can add the amount of saturation. It's a little much. There you have it. We have the overlay volume, release volume, and of course the amount of vibrato control. It's all there. But that's all, CC 2 controls the vibrato, and you can assign all of these. So let's move on. We've separated all those articulations out into the individual patches, as you can see here. I already played them, so I'm not going to bore you with that. And so let's move on to the French horns. Yes. This is 4 French horns, which is actually, I'm so glad we got 4, because in all of the CineBrass, we got solos, we got 2 French horns, we got 12 French horns, we got 6 French horns, but for standard legato, we never got 4 French horns. But now we have it. So here you go. This is 4 French horns. And let me make sure I record enable the correct track. Okay, here we are. So, yes, this is, a kind of quick reason why we chose to do a Sonore library. There's so many libraries out there now, and many of them, especially a lot of the later ones, have an emphasis on the triple forte layer. and it's kind of affecting the style of music that we all write. And it's not how real brass sounds. When you're sitting in a room with a large brass section, it doesn't sound like this triple forte, wall of sound. Sometimes you want that. And, of course, we have a 12-horn patch and we have the monster low brass. So obviously you can use those to get that sound. But there's something to be said about just a beautiful sonore quality. And, this library isn't intended for getting quadruple forte. This is for writing beautiful soaring lines in the trumpet and the French horns. And so, yeah, it's funny because I talked to a lot of I talked to a couple of French horn players, guys that you would know that are like legends, and they have the same complaints. They're always saying they're always having to copy what the samples are doing. And it's really difficult because it's almost impossible for these guys to be playing quadruple forte all the time. So it's all laid out in the same way. I should be on that page, but we've got shorts layered in there on top of the legato. Yeah, it goes quite low. And that's the French horn. Same thing. We've got all the legato speed control, the tape saturation, and cool stuff. It's just nice to have some of this stuff built into the GUI, but I understand sometimes we just want to have it in a plugin or something. Yeah. So there you go. We've got the articulations patch, and then everything is split out into all the different different articulations: sustain, secco, forte, blah blah blah. So there you go. This is CineBrass Sonore, and I think I'm excited to add this to my template and start using it. It's going to be a great complement to CineBrass. And we've been recording CineBrass content. It's been over 9 years now, and we've been continuing to add new instruments to this line, and it's crazy to think that next year, it's 2020 right now as I say this, but next year is going to be our 10-year anniversary of CineBrass. So that's something that's pretty exciting. Thanks for supporting us, by the way. I mean, the fact that you guys support us is what allows us to continue to make these instruments and really to do things at the highest possible quality that we can. And as you know, if anyone's ever made a sample library, you know how arduous of a process it is, and to do it well, to go through the process of recording every single note, and then the whole post-production process of chopping every sample, denoising every sample if needed, and then balancing everything within contact and making sure that everything flows well and plays well. I mean, we really spend an enormous amount of time to focus on the quality, and I think that's something that we're really passionate about. And I know there's a lot of companies out there, but it's one that we really care about quality and workmanship. So that's it. Okay, I kind of rambled there at the end, but thank you for watching and for supporting us, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.